Yes, hello. It's so good to see you today. I'm so glad that you're here. All right, repeat after me. Paper clutter is not scary. Paper is not scary. I know we've sometimes let it we've let it kind of build up in our head and become this whole big thing, right? But I'm telling you, we have tactics, we have tools. I'm really excited for what I'm going to share with you today. And so we're going to get paper under control in your home, guaranteed. I feel very confident about that. So hello, it's so good to see you today. 15th All Day Declutter. Man, this is wild. We should have prizes for those of you who have been with us since the first one. So it's good to see you, whether this is your first or your 15th or anything in between. Okay, so I'm going to divide this up into two sections this morning. And so I want you, it's kind of a choose your own adventure. Wherever you need to focus today on paper is what I want you to work on. But what we're going to talk about is setting up where does paper, when it comes into our house, new paper, where does that go? So I have my action and time will tell bins here that I'm going to show you, and then also processing old paper, because we kind of have two things going on, right? We have kind of the new and current paper, the stuff that's like on our kitchen counters and tables right now and whatnot, and then we have the old stuff that has just like piled up and just feels so intimidating to deal with. So if you have your current paper system like pretty dialed in, like you have good spots for managing the paper that comes in, then I want you to be gathering up old paper, and hopefully you have our paper sorting categories and you can start working on that, and then we'll do some clarifying and fine tuning with that. But for those who don't have a clear spot right now where action and to do paper items live, if you chronically have little piles and stuff floating around your kitchen counters or entryways or other areas like that, I think it's very helpful to get these two containers in place first and then to go through our sorting, because we're going to come up with action and time will tell stuff when we're going through that. But feeling like we have a good system for that stuff to come into can bring us a lot of peace of mind. So I think getting this in place first, and I'm going to show you how we do it very simply, quickly, easily, I think can be very helpful before we go on to sorting all of our old paper clutter. All right, so I want to streamline down how you manage paper in your home. I'm going to simplify it down to two bins. This creates a really great foundation. And then from there, if you want to build on it, you can. But for those of us who are kind of at the beginning or don't have a great system already, all of us could do these bins right now while we're working together. And so the two bins are action and time will tell. So we're going to have an action bin basket. It could be like a wall holder folder thing too, but we're going to have an action bin or basket, and then a time will tell. If you're choosing sizes, your action doesn't have to be super big. Sometimes time will tell we want to have a little bit bigger, especially in the beginning when we're still kind of fine tuning these systems, or we have a lot of time will tell stuff. So let's talk about what goes into each of these. And just so you know, this system was kind of modified by, oh no, what's her name? I can see her from How to ADHD, that YouTube channel. So I want you to know that this system works for all types of brains. So ADHD, ADD, ODD, OCD, like also just all the way over to just like overwhelmed brain syndrome, right? For those who are just like, we're just a little frazzled. We have not fully recovered from the holidays, right? So it's a very brain friendly system. And that is very important because, again, we need systems that work on our worst days, not when everything is humming along smoothly, right? We need worst day systems. And we all find ourselves in those places, especially if we have kids or we're caregivers or we have a stressful job or we have stressful relationships or just the things that come up, that chronic fatigue and chronic illness and just those things that come up and can derail our weeks. And so this is a very brain friendly system. You might think it's too simple, but I'm going to challenge you to give it a try. Clarity comes when we're in action and we're doing these things. So just let's try, and then we'll make adjustments from there. But this can be a really great foundation for anyone who's feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now. All right, so we have our action, we have our time will tell. What goes into these? So action, and this is my legitimate action bin. This is how I manage my world. I don't have folders or dividers or anything else. So just so you know, this is the exact system that I use to manage my household of 4 kids and me and, you know, work stuff and all of that. So this is my life right here between my to-do list on my phone and my calendar and then this action bin. This is how I manage everything, right? Okay. So what goes into action is anything that requires action that you have to do, anything that you have to mail in, send back, pay, RSVP to, sign up for. I even, I got like my Costco rewards thing in the mail. Until like I have it on my to-do list to go to Costco probably next week ish, but I just needed a place for it to live until I used it. But there is action tied to it, right? Like I want to use it and I see it when I go through my action bin, right? So anything that comes into your home that has some kind of follow-up action tied to it, it can go into here. Now, then we have our time will tell, and this is for everything else that floats around your counter. So catalogs, coupons, old to-do lists, recipes that you want to try, paint colors that you might use, just all the random stuff that floats around our counters that really historically has not had a home. We're giving a home to it. And it's very important to distinguish between these two types of paper in our home, stuff that requires action and stuff that doesn't, because when they are all mixed together, it's very stressful to our brain and we overestimate how much action stuff we actually have to do. Most of us, once we get back on tape, top of paper, I can manage my action bin in 15 minutes a week. And that's what we would recommend is you plan a time once a week to go through your action bin. Just do the stuff that has to get done for the coming week and the rest can wait its turn. But I mean, this is like a non-issue for me anymore. But I had to sort out all of the time will tell stuff because when they're mixed together and I'm continually shuffling through these piles, figuring out what I have to get done today or this week, that's very stressful to our brain. And so as soon as we separated these out, it made it so much easier to manage. And I don't have to worry, this stuff is still here. If I want to order from the seed catalog, send in the charitable donation, glance through this magazine or try the recipe, it's all still here, but it's not taking up my brain energy. And so again, this is where I know we're going to get into questions of like, well, should this go there or there or that? I know. And I know my brain is not as type A as some of yours. And so this is where I tell you, you have to be in action. You have to try it. And when you hold something up and you're like, I don't know, which one should it go into? Just do your best to make the best decision, right? And then we're going to continue to learn and refine. But these two bins, this has been my system for multiple years now, and it works so well, especially for any of us who have tired and overwhelmed brains. Now, down the road, if you want to divide some of this out, like if you have some projects going on or maybe some ongoing health stuff where you get a lot of a certain category, you might decide to put some folders in here to divide it out just a little bit so you can keep stuff together. But at the very base level, this will work and it'll serve you very well. Like I said, this runs my whole household right now with any of my action and to-do items. So I know it can be done. I know it can be done. All right. Okay. So we will link to these bins. They're just off Amazon. We can link to the labels as well. I'll have Kristen grab those. Okay, so let me just, what do you do when our papers do not fit into those small bins? So in the beginning, especially when we've sorted through a lot of it, you might have more than that. So you might want to have, an accessory container that goes with it. But, and I know the question comes up too, it's more about having clear containers than clear categories than forcing it to fit into a certain container. But over time, you're going to get pared down, and I believe it'll fit comfortably in either of these containers. But also, when your time will tell starts to fill up, the best thing we can do is just flip it over. And usually, the stuff on the bottom has timed out. We've time tested it. We've forgotten about it. We don't need it. We feel comfortable. Like enough time has passed that we feel comfortable letting it go. So if you do find that your time will tell bin is filling up, try flipping it over and discarding stuff that is on the bottom. Okay. I just want to see if there's any more clarifying questions around those two containers. We'll do full Q&A at the bottom of the hour. My folders for action and time will tell are buried under new paper. So if you have tried this a little bit and you're not finding success with it, then let's ask ourselves, maybe a folder's not working. Do I need more of a basket or a bin for it. So we don't want it to feel like it's not working because the container's not working for it. So this might be where some experimenting comes in. So up until recently, I had used more like open baskets for these two things. And what I didn't like was, especially for the time will tell, it wasn't a big deal. But what I didn't like for the action was stuff could accidentally get in there. And I really wanted to make sure this was true action stuff. And so that's where then I decided on a container with a lid. I like that I can bring this around with me. I can sit on the couch with it and watch TV. I can bring it in the car when the kids have taekwondo, sit in the car and go through it. And so I've done it has evolved a little bit, not really the system, but the containers that I use. So look at it, is it just a container issue? Is it a habit issue? I've just gotten lazy. I don't sort stuff into the two containers when it comes into the home, because that would absolutely what I recommend now moving forward. Once we get these bins in place, is that when paper comes into your house now, it is going into one of those two containers. And we're not trying to make more categories unless we really look at the data and there's like enough for a certain category. But when stuff comes into the home house, it goes into one of those two containers. And again, that's exactly what we can be working on right now. If it's buried, just okay, let's unbury it quick. It's going to take way less time than you think that it's going to. All right. I have a horrible time throwing away paid bills. What papers really need to be kept and filed? So let's talk about that a little bit as we sort through old paper, because it's not an action, right? And so some of us, yeah, what do you do with new business cards that you get? If it's an action, like I need to call that contractor this week, put it into your action. If it's we don't know if we're going to use that roofer or not, I'm just collecting quotes, whatnot, that can go into your time will tell. Now, if it is we have to decide on a roofer this week, I have 3 different quotes, all this, keep that in your action. That might be where it's helpful to put it in like a file folder, but honestly, use those few and far between. And uh, but if it's not a clear, if it's like I'm just data gathering information, that can go into your time will tell. You'll know where to look for it. That's the main thing. All right. But yeah, I have a horrible time, throwing away things. Do I need to keep credit card statements? Do I need that? So some of us have just, so let's switch to talking about our existing paper now. And, you know, we've all been raised with different, things around all of this. How long do you keep statements for and paid bills and all of that? And so if it gives you peace of mind to keep some of that stuff, I don't think it's really a big deal. Here's the caveat, though, that it has to be clearly categorized, and labeling with the year is very helpful as well. So I'm just cutting up my paper sorting categories here. Does not matter if you don't have the cute printable that goes with this. We're going to have a memory category. We're going to have our action stuff, right? Reference, which I also call time will tell. Long term and short term. I know short term is where confusion comes in. We're going to do our best to clarify it. But again, clarity comes when you're in motion and you're doing this. So I know many like to have all the details and then you don't want to start doing it until you have every single detail. I'm going to ask you to push through that. That can sometimes be an excuse for non-action, right? And be like, well, I just don't know what to do. And then we don't do, right? So today, really, like, let's work together. That's why we're here together. I know there might be some confusion. Short term and long term doesn't actually really matter that much, honestly, at the end of the day. So, 98% of paper we never go back and reference again. So, like when I say it doesn't actually really matter, it kind of actually doesn't really matter, right? Now there's a few things that are important, so we'll do those, but or we'll make sure we know where those are and they're clearly categorized. Okay, so when it comes to sorting paper, what do we want to do? We gather up our old paper. So I have this paper that I've gathered up here. We have our categories. And so find a place to work. It could be a table, floor, anything like that. I'm just going to spread out my categories so I can sort into them. All right. And now I'm just going to grab a stack of paper and I'm going to start sorting it. So I have so old Christmas catalog. I don't no one's going to shop from this anymore, so that can just get recycled or shredded or whatever it needs to do. Okay, here's a magazine that had a recipe in it that I want to try, or paint colors that I want to use. Okay, so again, will I look at it? I don't know. There's no action. So that can go into our reference, or time will tell. Another Christmas catalog, don't need that anymore. What you're going to find, a lot of this paper has timed out. It's duplicates. It's stuff that you thought a while ago that maybe you would want or need, but you don't actually really need to. Here's a Christmas letter that came in the mail that can just get recycled. Some packaging from something that can just get thrown away. Okay, I have, you know, notes from a conference that I went to. Okay, well, I don't know. Am I going to reference them again? I don't know. I'm just going to put that into the reference for right now. Some other like guides, marketing guides that I got. I don't know if I'm going to use those or not. So I'm just going to throw those into reference, or time will tell. Now, here's the thing. It's very important that we do not make more categories. You just stick to the categories that we have here. So we have these 5 categories plus recycling or shred or whatnot. Just put it into a category, because maybe as I'm saying this, you're like, oh, I don't know if I'd put that in reference. I'd probably put that like in long term or something. Doesn't actually matter, because we're going to go back to each of these categories again. We're just doing a rough sort right now. And the biggest thing we're doing right now is we are reminding ourselves that paper is not scary. I have built this up because I thought there was unpaid bills, fines, parking tickets, I don't know, birth certificates in here that I didn't know about, and I haven't been doing a good job managing paper. And so we've built up the level of scary in our head, like up to be like this high, and we're just taking it down, and we're also debulking. And so what you're seeing through this process too is like my recycling pile is growing, because a lot of this stuff I'm realizing it was a duplicate. I don't need it anymore. So our categories are action, reference, long-term, short-term, and memory. Maybe Kristen, you can just pop that into the chat. We do have a printable that goes along with it, but you can just write it on scrap paper or Post-it notes right now. All right, so, and then we just keep sorting. I have, Mother's Day cards that the kids made. I don't have to decide right now if they're worthy of going in my memory bin. I can just put them in the memory category. So I'm just going to put them in the memory category. Okay, more garbage stuff. I'm going to throw that away. Oh, Christmas card. Like, so great and pretty that people thought of me. Do I want to keep it? Like, if you're like, no, I don't need that, toss it. But you're like, I don't know, then throw it in the memory pile. Not a big deal, right? Photos, memory pile. A really kind note from someone, memory pile. Okay, here's a card I got asking for like a donation that I still want to send in. So I'm going to throw that on my action pile, so I make sure it gets to my action container, and then I can deal with it then. Kids artwork. Okay, memory pile. Here are like, these were notes. What was this? Oh, it was like a 2022 program. Wow. Yeah, so 2022, do I still need that? No, probably not. Okay, we can just recycle that. You might come across like doctor's notes, or the things they send home with you when you go home. If you think you might reference it again, throw it in your reference or time or cell. If you don't, throw it into the recycling. Instructions that came with an educational game. Well, I should probably go put them back with the game, right? So I'm going to throw that into my action because it's something that I need to do. These were the results from the Minnesota Twin and Family Study that we did a long time ago. If I really think that I'm going to reference it and go back through it again, I can throw it in my reference, or I can just recycle it and move on with life, right? Let's see, some of our old homeschool stuff, we have to keep like a little bit of a record of what we do. And so this I wanted to, they're stuck together. So this I want to get filed into my long-term, where I have the kids' homeschool records. So I'm going to put that on the long-term pile. And so we just keep going, and we keep forcing things into the categories. Again, some things don't fit perfectly, not the end of the world, not that big a deal, because each category we're going to go through again. Okay, so these are my rough sorting categories. I get everything rough sorted out, and now I go back to each category individually. So now this is actually pretty easy, because I look at my action stuff. Okay, I have a few things. I put that into my action bin, and then I'll start to work through that as I go through my action bin. Again, I look at my long-term storage. Okay, a lot of times, we're not going to spend a lot of time on long-term storage, but again, we don't have to be super detailed with our file folders. I have file folders set up. This just needs to go into it. And again, going back to the question of like, well, I really want to keep paid bills. Okay, if that gives you peace of mind, that's something you want to do, that's fine. We just need to have a clear category and home for it. And then I always recommend whenever you're setting up your long-term file, put the year on it. That gives us very helpful data. So then when we're going through our long-term storage again, our file storage, I can see, oh, that's 2016. It's 2026. Holy crap, where does time go, right? But it's over 10 years old. I don't need to keep it anymore. And we have some guides in our printables too about what to keep, how long, that kind of stuff. But again, when it comes to paper, the stress is not necessarily having too much paper. It's not having clear categories and having it labeled. Our brain can work with clear categories all day long. It's the mishmash of the random piles and stuff floating around that is very unsettling to our brain. And so, even if you're erring on the side of keeping a little extra because you're like, I don't know, do I keep all the EOBs? I don't know. Put them in a folder, put the year on it, and let's just collect some data. We'll just see, do you ever reference them or need them again? Do you need your insurance policies? I don't know. I've never ever physically referenced a insurance policy, but some of you had said you kind of got screwed in the past when you didn't keep yours and something big came up. So you were glad that you had it. So I put it in a file. When I get the new one, I take out the old one. It just says current, insurance policies. Or now I think I keep it in an email folder. But okay, fine, I'll keep it. As long as it's in a clear category, it's not stressing our brain out. And so all we need here is clear categories. Now, not micro categories, because 98% of paper you're never actually going to go back and look at again. So even for those of you who are micro organizers, when it comes to setting up some file folders for long-term storage, don't go micro. It doesn't matter. You're never going to look at it again. Okay. So big, broad categories, put the year on it, throw stuff in, and then we're going to collect data and see if we actually end up using this stuff or not. It's not that hard. If a year from now we're on the All Day Declutter again, we're going through paper and you're like, oh, look, I filed those things, never ever needed them. I don't think I need them anymore. Not that hard to pull out a file folder that's clearly labeled and shred it, right? And move on. So that's not the stressor. The stressor is the mishmash of crap we have going on here with our poor brain saying, like, I don't know what's in that pile. And honestly, I don't want to know anymore, right? Like our brain is just trying to conserve energy. And it's like, that's going to take too much energy, right? So we all get how we got here, but we have a clear system and path out. Okay. So don't fight the categories, work with the categories, force stuff into a category. And then once we have everything broadly sorted, we go back to the individual ones. Okay. So again, action goes into my action bin. Long term goes into my long term file storage, wherever that goes. Do some of us need to purge our long term storage? Yes. But get all the random piles around your house dealt with first, then go back through your long term. All right. Reference stuff I'm going to throw into my time will tell bin. Memory, this is where I'm going to come back through and I'm going to make a quick pass through because you should have a memory bin if you're in this course. And I'm just going to look at everything here and say, is this so special that I would put it in my memory bin? Okay. Family photo of people that aren't really that close to us. No, I'm just going to recycle that, right? Family picture with the kids. Yeah, that's nice. I'm going to put that into my memory bin. Mother's Day cards, like if there's a really nice note written in it and it's meaningful, then yes. Dear mom, you're the rev in my engine, Corbin. Yes, that's awesome, right? I love it. Yes, that just made me smile, right? Even reading it, this I absolutely want to put into my memory bin. Now, if it's just one that's a little more generic, wasn't as much effort put into it, that I might decide to declutter, right? All right. Some scribbly whatever artwork, nah, not so special. That doesn't need to go in anyone's memory bins, right? So then I'm making a quick pass through it. But because I'm just focused on this singular category, it doesn't feel that hard. When I'm sorting, if I'm trying to make the decision as I go, should this go in my memory bin? That can be more difficult because I don't have all of it together. I don't have the full context to make that decision with, right? So we get everything rough sorted and then we narrow in on the individual categories. All right. So, what do I do with other family members' papers, son and husband? So, that's where you'll have to decide how much paper is it? How old are they? How do you want to work that system? So, Tom and I, when we were coexisting, he had his own action bin and time will tell bin, and that was very helpful. But it kind of depends. Like, if they don't have a lot of paper stuff that they're tasked with, maybe there can just be a folder or a basket or something for them, or you keep it in yours until it's fully dealt with and you're the ultimate manager of it. And this may be common sense, but throwing away when getting the mail has been amazing. Yeah, some of us have the habit and some don't. My mom still does not. She just piles it all up and then, picks one day a week to go through it all. I'm like, that is so stressful to me. I would rather debulk it once it comes in. Where do we post pictures? So you can post them to the Facebook feed or email them to support@takeyourhouseback.com. Yeah, so again, other people's papers, married to a professor and two kids in high school, so many papers. Any good systems for keeping their piles under control? Yes, so again, if you can apply the same systems to them, I think you're going to find it very helpful. Um, how long do you keep documents from a property that was sold 5 years ago? I can't remember exactly, but a lot of us, at least 7 years up to 10. I can't remember what the statute of limitations are. Again, I would just err on, just say 10 years. And as long as it's clearly labeled and, in a file folder or whatnot, not that stressful to your brain. And again, I know I didn't clarify short term. So this was, Cass uses this. So again, short term can be I just put it all into time will tell and reference, but it can be bills that you've paid, credit card statements that you've reconciled. You don't necessarily long term file them, but you just want to make sure like it cleared the bank and all of that. I'm trying to remember what else she puts into short term. Don't worry about this. Like honestly, I don't use it. I just use time will tell and action. But if you're finding you have some categories of things that like, okay, well I paid the bill, where does it live until then? I throw it in time will tell until it's cleared, and then when I'm going through my time until I just let that kind of stuff go. But if you want to have a short term category for those things, you can. Same with like receipts. I have a dedicated receipt container. I keep all my business receipts in there. And so that works for me, but you could have a file folder or somewhere else that you're, as long as they have a clear location and category. Amanda says major shifts in life, overwhelmed with the amount of action. After I have an action, how can I not get paralyzed in the overwhelm when trying to do? Okay, I'm really glad that you asked this. This is a very important question. So, I've evolved these systems. I mentioned what is her name from How to ADHD. I love her. So that also Lisa from Organized 365, she has the Sunday basket. So I've learned a lot from her. And so I've kind of tried to just kind of merge all like to come up with a system that's easy, practical, brain friendly, and worst case day friendly, right? So if you are finding that your action is very overwhelming right now, here's the mindset shift that we need to take on. Success is not having an empty action bin. It's never going to be done, right? We can get there once in a while again when all the stars align and we have really a couple good weeks in a row, but that is no longer my goal. It is not how I determine if it was a good week or not, as if my action bin is empty. What we want to do each week is, this is from Lisa from Organized 365, is only do the stuff that has to get done for this week. And so we sort through it, we pull out the stuff that has to get done for this week, meaning there's some kind of consequence tied to it if we don't. And then the other stuff waits its turn. You are systematically and strategically letting other stuff wait its turn. That there's nothing wrong with that. You're not a failure. You're not behind. That we manage a gazillion details in a week. And so an empty action bin is not the sign of success. Getting the priorities done this week, the things that have to get done this week, that's how we can measure success. So what I want you to do is to look through it, and you can kind of even prioritize it by how it's stacked in here. So put the things on top that have to get done, or pull them out that have to get done this week, and then the other stuff is going to wait its turn. And then a week later, I'm going to come back to it again. I'm going to do a little bit more. Now, it's going to feel like you're making no progress, and then there's more coming in. But I'm telling you, if you keep doing this week after week, after a month, 2 months, you're going to feel under control. It's going to be like a non-issue. You're going to have stuff worked down. The other thing that you're going to do when you're going through it each week and picking out the things that have to get done, you're going to realize there are some really unrealistic things in here, and you're going to let them go. And so we collect data from it, what's continually sinking to the bottom. Do I actually have to do that? Do I need to delegate that? Do I need to ask my spouse to take this over? Even just recently, my sister, her husband was saying like, "Hey, can you help us research like healthcare for our family?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can do that." And it just kept getting pushed and pushed. And then he's like, "Hey, did you do that?" She's like, "No." And then finally, she just had to say, "I don't have the bandwidth for that." And it wasn't even necessarily like a time thing. It was like, I don't have, like, I cannot turn my brain in that direction right now, right? And she had to pass it back off to him. And that happens, right? So this is giving us really good, clear data to work with about, you know, what what has to get done each week and what would be nice to do, but we're consistently not getting to. All right. What about sports photos? Again, so special to go in a memory bin. Not all sports photos are created equal. Like, they don't have to be special, especially if your kids are just continually in all of the same things. Or you can keep one of them and not all the duplicates that come with it. But those should go in your memory bin, or if you have a separate place where you keep photos. I am finding tax documents, maybe have a different category or folder for that. Yes. So again, we can broad sort right now, and then we come back to that category. Like if it's for, 2025 taxes and you're going to be doing those here coming up, absolutely. Throw those in a file folder or however you organize them. But yes, like, great data to be looking at. Like, okay, this, I have quite a few things that go into this. I need to keep this all together for this task I have to do. Yeah, I should probably create a folder for that. Where would you put coupons that you want to consider at a later time? I throw those into my time will tell, because we have to remember coupons are just a way for the store to get you to spend money. I don't even feel like coupons are as good as they used to be. Now, every once in a while, we get some really good coupons in the mail, and then you do want to use them. And then I move it to my car. I'll even add it to my task list, so that I think about it, remember it when I'm out, like on the day that I'm going to be out in that area. But let's not work too hard to try and force ourselves to like use coupons and whatnot. Both my parents just passed within 4 months of each other. I am finding that they saved every receipt and logged every purchase they made since 1962. Financial info everywhere. Where do I even start? So it's actually the same process. And what you're going to find, I would have a cutoff date for what you're not keeping anything for. And so again, 10 years is usually pretty safe unless it's like deeds to houses or that kind of thing, vehicle titles. But for bills and receipts and all of that, I would put a 10-year cap on it. So automatically anything that is more than 10 years, you're just going to get rid of. And then we just sort into the categories like we're doing here. It always seems like, well, that won't work or the categories aren't right. I'm telling you, they do work even for any type of paper that you have going on in your house. Yeah, I'm glad you asked this, Linda. How to handle negative emotions when you discover paper about a very important thing and I missed it since Christmas. Ugh, how to not get distracted with it. Yeah, 1000%. That sucks. Like, let's just acknowledge it. That sucks. But also, let's not make too much meaning out of it. So a lot of times we attach meaning to these things. Well, that sucks that I missed this, therefore I suck. You don't. Can I mention again how the gazillion details that we are all managing, especially through the holidays? I missed some things through the holidays. I got the most important things done. Um, and that's been my track record now for a long time. But there were things that had to drop or that I forgot about or would have been nice to do. And so I'm sorry that that happened. But there's nothing wrong with you. And we're working on getting better systems in place. So this time next year, probably we won't be having the same thing happening, right? But permission to let it go, any of the stuff we're finding, gift cards that have expired before they said you couldn't put expiration dates on them, or gift certificates, or things we should have returned to get our money back. We cannot manage it all, right? And so you're going to find things that are going to make you feel a little yucky. It just is what it is, but we're doing the best that we can. Do papers that will need filed go in the action box? So I would put those in long term or short term. So again, long term, if it's like long term file storage, like tax docs, deeds, insurance policies. Short term, if it's just something you're keeping for a little bit, like credit card statements or paid bills or that kind of thing. That's where I'd put stuff to file. My holdup are cards from my mom. She writes so many long, thoughtful things. Help. LOL, hard to toss them. Yeah, and so maybe you just have a box that is cards from your mom. Like, maybe you're like, "Well, I imagine down the road I might wanna go back through them." And so again, as long as we have a clear category, we can keep anything. It's just when it's all mishmashed together. And what happens too when you force yourself to say, "Okay, I have all these cards. Do I wanna put them in my memory box? Do I wanna create a separate bin for them?" It forces yourself to wrestle with how important are they actually? Like, am I going to go through these lengths to create this special home for them? And if they're truly special, yes, you'll pretty much do anything you need to, right? If it's kind of like they're very thoughtful, but they're kind of repetitive, or I only would need to keep a few to get the sentiment, that helps you to make the decision. Okay, they could probably just live in my memory bin, or no, I think I'll make a, a, an actual category for them. Photos go in memory or action. So memory, if they're just going to get stored. Action, if there's something that you need to do with it, like scan it in, send it to a friend, reprint it, or something like that. Do you shred old photos you're finally willing to declutter? I don't. I'm not really worried about anyone getting a hold of our old photos. But totally up to you. Jessica from How to ADHD. Thank you, Kristen. All right. Do the bins have to be transparent? No. I like it to be able to see what's in there. Hubby wants wall storage that looks nice for our paper sorting system. Counter system has not worked in the past, even with a nice wicker basket. Yeah, I would try not to keep stuff on the counter. So even these I don't keep on our kitchen counters. I've always had a spot, like now they live in my office, but I've always had a spot where I could tuck them away. And so keeping our kitchen counters clear, I think is pretty important. So I do think it can live on the wall, especially if it's something that you both use. I prefer to keep all paper out of the kitchen. I think our kitchen works hard enough already, and having paper in there can make it not feel as nice. And so if you have any kind of home office or office nook or space, I would recommend putting it there for all of us. But that's just what I think. If I have a brain dump and ideas in paper and papers for a project that I am planning to do but not now, like gardening plans, laundry room renovations, what pile should I be? I would put that in time will tell. Because again, you know where to go to look for it. Now, if it's gotten so elaborate that you have like a bunch of different information you've gathered for it, then again, you could create like a file folder for it or have a specific category for it. But a lot of these things aren't that involved, and we can just throw them in our time will tell, and it's not really that big of a deal. The other thing you're going to find with time will tell over time is that you don't put stuff in there anymore because it's just where stuff goes to die. And so um, I hardly put anything. I don't, this is just all fake time will tell, honestly. I don't hardly even use the time will tell anymore because I know myself. I don't have enough time to go back and use any of the magazines or recipes or whatnot. So we will get to our point where our time will tell is very pared down. So then when you're throwing things in there like garden plans, laundry room plans, ideas, design ideas, paint colors or whatever, it's not getting drowned out by a bunch of other stuff. It's pretty easy to see what's in there and to go back and reference it later. And then when you're actually ready to do the project, then we can move it over to our action. Yeah, recipes, favorites, and ones I want to try. So I would keep them in time will tell until you're ready to try it. So if you're going to try it this week, then pull out one, add the ingredients to your grocery list and whatnot. But otherwise, I would keep them in time will tell until you're ready to. We all have such great ideals, and most of them we don't ever actually get to, and it's totally fine. I'm a paralegal and work from home. Is this okay? For the home paperwork, I have a time will tell and action. Beyond that, I'm putting all the work stuff into one bin to sort later. I'm overwhelmed. Yeah, I you might want to have an action and time will tell for work as well, especially a lot of us honestly don't have a lot of paper anymore for our jobs or any of that. But I would, if you do find yourself with a lot of paper for work, I would use this exact same system for that too. Paula says, OMG, I had set up Dawn's system about a week ago, and today going through what's accumulated was easy to sort. The categories worked, and my action file for tomorrow is very manageable. Yay. Yay, Paula. Thanks for that. We've been talking about this in our membership community, and so they had a little bit of head start with getting this set up. But honestly, like, it's very important that, like, I really want to have a system to recommend to you that really does work for pretty much everyone. And again, with no matter what, neurodivergence or different things that we deal with or our family deals with. And so this has been something we have been testing and refining and using and testing and making adjustments to. And so I hope you know when I'm recommending this, that I really do believe that it is a system that can pretty much work for just about anyone. What do you recommend for gift cards and coupons that get forgotten about? Yeah, so again, we need to have a clear category and spot for them. And Cass just showed recently, she had a short where she got on Amazon just a little card holder that she put all of her gift cards in. So I think that can be very helpful. I have a spot in my purse where I keep all of my gift cards together, but I don't have that many. And I just occasionally flip through it to make sure that I'm using them up. So we just have to have a clear location for it. And if you're forgetting about them, you can add them to your task list too. How often do you go through your time will tell file? So again, for me, hardly ever because I don't actually really use it anymore. But it just depends when it starts to fill up. And then again, just flip it over, get rid of some stuff on the bottom, and then keep moving on with life. I have an old cell phone on my desk. It has pictures on it. It's not paper, but it's in the area that I'm working on. What do you do? Yeah, so this is an action item, right? So you probably want to put it with your action or put it on your task list or whatnot. But what you're going to find, things like this, we build up to be like, oh, gee, I have to find the charger and I have to figure out how to get them off. If you'll just do a quick Google search, like, I have an old Samsung Galaxy 2, whatever phone I need to get photos off of. What's the best way to I want to move them to my Mac or a hard drive or wherever or the cloud. What's the best way to do this? Like throw that into ChatGPT and you're going to get a very step-by-step game plan, right? And remember, for most of our devices, the chargers are actually pretty universal. So even like the hurdle of like, oh, I got to find a charger for this thing, usually not as big of a deal as we're building it up to be. So we just have to break it down but yes, those things absolutely 1000% like hang over our head. And if you have multiple electronics that you need to do stuff with, put it in a category and, eventually when the time is right, you can deal with those. Rachel says, I have a spiral where I keep my running to do list. It usually ends up buried under a stack of papers. Suggestions on where to keep the notebook, where it is accessible but not sitting out. Well, I have a lot of strong opinions on where we should manage our to do list. In fact, in our home management class this morning in our membership community, we just talked about to do lists and why, for most of us, paper to do lists are not working anymore. They are not brain friendly. And exactly what you're describing, Rachel. But that's too much to get into right now. But um, yeah, I don't know. My mom keeps hers on the kitchen counter corner, and she just goes to it every day, and that's how she organizes her day. So I don't know if it's just a habit thing to keep pulling it back on top. But yeah, I think using the to do app is a much better way to do it. I can have Kristen put my link for it here too. But anyways, that's just me. Um, let's see. How to process my diaries. Is there a replay video on the Take Your House Back platform about that topic? Or do you have a suggestion for practice dealing with them? So again, having a container and a category for them initially, and then deciding from there to pare them down. So, sentimental stuff, we usually kick that can down the road just a little bit till you've built up really strong decluttering muscles. And so the biggest thing for right now is just to have a clear category and a safe home for them. And then we can start asking ourselves, am I realistically ever going to go through these again? Do I want other people to see them? Do I want to pull out a few pages and keep them? So then we can start asking those types of questions. My issue is not knowing what to toss. It's that I think I have to shred or address block everything, including junk. My bro has given me ID theft complex. Help, I need guidance. Yeah, that can get to be stressful. Now, again, if you have a lot of stuff to shred, Office Max, Office Depot, whatever, there's pretty easy places. A lot of banks do it now for shredding. They also make now, and maybe you've seen these or have one of these. Um, they make the roller stamps where you can just roll over it quick too. If you have concerns about that, I I mean, if people get my address, like that's not hard to come by these days, right? Like and not even talking as like an influencer, as just like a normal person. Um, if I throw this in the recycling and then it gets out, I don't know. I don't think it's that hard to now if there's other sensitive information on it, whatever. But I'm not the person to be talking to about that. I don't but I've never had my identity stolen either, so I'm probably not being careful enough. All right. Let's see here. Yeah. All right. Well, we need to wind up here. I just think there's one more question that might be helpful for everyone. Please tell me it's okay to throw away a very old copy of the Gospel of John. I go to my regular Bible or Google, so I never look at this, but it feels weird. Yeah, some of that stuff can feel weird. You have permission to let it go. Yeah, I mean, yes. Business paperwork is chaos. I do four-part screens, not all info in at one time. It may lag a day in one or two sections. Can't do a final until it's all in, so it sits on my desk when it's open. So, there are things, sometimes that we're going to have out or we have to reference. And again, it's just that we have a clear spot for it. We have clear categories. We don't have other chaos around it. And so I think that's the biggest thing. So when papers are a mishmash, very stressful for our brain. When there's papers everywhere, very stressful for our brain. So no matter what you end up keeping, as long as it has a clear home and location, as long as it's in a clear category and it's labeled, that's gonna our brain's gonna be able to work with that. That's not a big deal. It's all the other crap around it, and when it gets all mishmashy, that's when we're gonna have issues. And so that's why, again, we just need to get it sorted. We need to get it into clear categories. And even if you end up keeping a little more paper than you would need right now, it's not the end of the world. And as we continue to go through this and refine our systems and collect data, was I actually using that? It's gonna be very easy to let that stuff go. So clear categories, put a date on it, and you are gonna be in great shape. I promise. I promise you that. All right. All right. Well, you are doing awesome work. I'm going to pass it off to Dana now, I believe, right? But you are doing an awesome job. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're willing to do the work. You're willing to try it. You're collecting the data. You're going to be in such a great place this time next year. It's going to be awesome. So keep it up. You're doing awesome. I will see you again at the lunch.